Sometime around the early 2000s in northern Nigeria, inside an adequately cross-ventilated room with wide casement windows on opposite walls and sufficient tree cover in its surrounding spaces. I woke up gasping for air in the thick of that humid night. My sticky, shirtless body tossed restlessly on both pillow and mattress, soaked to the most irresistible level by sweat that was beyond the control of my body metabolism. And there was no electricity to power the ceiling fan that maybe could have made the situation better, even though I doubt that. How many times have we been in situations of temperature extreme on the higher side that only hot air was stirred by the revolving tree-armed machine? I was about 8 years old, with a heavy heart, clouded brain, and a pair of stuffy lungs. I cried, the only venting that mattered at that moment. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. This shift may be natural, such as through the variation in solar cycle, or since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. In a report released by IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in August 2022, confirmed that unless there are immediate, rapid, and large-scale reduction in greenhouse emissions, limiting global warming close to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level will be beyond reach. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, said that the report was nothing less than code red for humanity. The alarm bells are deafening, and the evidence is irrefutable. Some of the effects of climate change in recent times can be clearly seen in prolonged drought in sub-Saharan Africa and Madagascar, flooding in Germany and China, devastating tropical storms in Southeast Asia, heat waves in Canada and Pakistan, wildfires in Greece and Siberia. Climate change in Nigeria is evident from temperature increase, rainfall variability, that is, increasing rainfall in coastal areas and decreasing rainfall in continental areas. It's also reflected in drought, rising sea level, erosion, flood, thunderstorm, bushfire, landslide, loss in biodiversity. The greenhouse gases, mainly carbon dioxide, methane, are mostly generated from oil and gas production, land use change, forestry, agriculture, and fugitive emissions. The economy is very dependent on oil production, so it may be hard to reach the target of net zero emission by 2060. Influx of people to areas of better standard of living, better job opportunity, and security leads to increased population and human activity that may accumulate and translate to challenging figures in terms of temperature from increase in population density, and could as a result lead to increased casualties in advent of heatwave and other natural disasters. So what is heat? In simple terms, heat is a form of energy. This energy moves from a hot area to a colder area. As a result of climate change, since its advent in the 19th century, so to the infiltration of the atmosphere with greenhouse gases, series of recurrent harmful effects have been associated with it. One of such is heatwave, which started gaining recognition towards the end of the last millennium. A heatwave or heatwave is a period of excessively hot weather, which may be accompanied by high humidity, especially in oceanic climate countries. Heatwave may be considered a natural disaster as it involves copious amount of heat from sunlight and increased metabolic activities that may be deleterious to human health and be the cause of death in extreme cases. Some of the health jeopardizing effects of heat wave can be seen in heat stroke, heat exhaustion, heat syncope, heat cramps, heat rashes, reduced brain function, impaired reasoning ability, and in extreme cases, death. A report by CNBC on July of 2012 stated the historic heat wave that scorched a great deal of Pacific Northwest and caused record high temperature in Canada has been blamed for hundreds of deaths in Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. Lisa LaPointe, British Columbian chief coroner, said that at least 186 sudden deaths have been reported between Friday and Wednesday, and the number is set to increase. The number of deaths reported a 195% increase over the roughly 165 deaths that would typically occur in the province over a period of 5 years. It is too early to say with certainty how many of these deaths are heat-related. It is believed likely that the significant increase in deaths reported is attributed to extreme weather. A report by Environmental Protection Agency of America showed that over a period of 40 years, about 0.5 to 2 deaths per million people were attributed to heat as the underlying cause of death, with spikes in certain years. About 110 have died over the course of this period from heat-related causes. Persons aged 65 and above are more susceptible to suffer from this adverse nature compared to younger persons. The EPA concluded that heat is the leading weather-related cause of deaths in the United States. In an article titled "Death in Waves" by William R. Keatinge, hot weather caused around 1,000 deaths during 1 week alone in Britain, and perhaps 10,000 overall in France, where temperatures were higher. Mortality in Britain is about its lowest when the mean daily temperature is between 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. The number of heat-related deaths per year, obtained as the number of deaths on days hotter than this, has averaged around 800 in recent years. Most of those deaths are of people over 70 years of age. They mostly occur in the first day or two of the period of high temperature. A report by ALJAZEERA titled "Nigerian Graphs with Severe Heatwave." It states the extreme heat condition experienced in Nigeria, where meteorologists experienced that there was no sign of relief from the adverse weather until seasonal rainfall sets in the months to come. The daily mean temperatures were recorded to be at 35 degrees Celsius and above, where states like Niger, Kano were reported to have a record up to 42 and 40 degrees Celsius respectively in extreme cases. Environmental experts Oluwafemi Akimbode was cited saying, "When you have heat waves, the body is dehydrated. The young, the elderly, people that live sedated lives, these are the kind of people that have immediate health reactions to heat wave." It was reported that environmental experts implored the authorities concerned to make long-term plans on how to slow down the effect of climate change by reducing carbon emission and impose ban on tree cutting. Different reports on account of the worrisome phenomenon have been reported, as clearly seen by Dr. Jennifer Vance, a Multnomah County City Health Officer. I know many county residents are looking out for each other, and I'm deeply saddened by this immediate death toll. As our summer continues to get warmer, I suspect we will face this kind of event again. Governor Jay Inslee of Washington: "Our recent discomfort is but a tip of the iceberg. What we felt this week is just the opening act of a looming global disaster. We can't just turn up the AC. We have to turn up our level of efforts fighting the underlying cause of our changing world, climate change. There has been a disturbing increase in the trend of this occurrence in recent years. It has been greatly attributed to the threatening climate change that has been the key point of discussion on all related environmental hazards since the end of this last millennium to date. How does heat wave affect your mood? As addressed in the Hindustan Times by Sanchita Sharman, extreme heat gets you to sweat and increase your body temperature to levels of discomfort that affect one's concentration and could also lead to heat stroke and dehydration, sometimes serious enough to need hospitalization. Despite heat stroke leading to neurological signs such as a lack of coordination, confusion, seizures, and unconsciousness, few people are aware of how profoundly hot weather can affect the mind and mood. The effects of mood are reported as seen in some of these case studies. The effects on mood are reported as seen in cases of anger and rage. Most people feel cranky and irritable when they are hot and uncomfortable. During the summer, heat makes some aggressive and violent. More frequent incidents of road rage occurred over increased heat period, as high temperature leads to road rage and aggressive driving behaviors, as found in the study from Arizona, USA. Another study in the US found that standard deviation of temperature increased interpersonal violence by 4% and gang violence by 14%. Heatwave raised the risk of road accidents by 7.7% in Spain, showed an analysis of 118,489 car crashes in 2015 during heatwave compared with warm days. Despite our humanly challenges, we always tend to come up with solutions. Here are some ways to curb heat wave. Maintain cool temperature at home. This is to adopt cross and sufficient ventilation for all rooms at home. When convenient, avoid the use of heat-emitting appliances during this period. Windows facing the sun should be shaded to reduce radiant heat. Stay out of heated environments and activities. Avoid overcrowded spaces and poorly ventilated spaces with heavy machineries. Stay hydrated and keep the body cool. Drink enough water as often as necessary. Wear weather-friendly clothes. Avoid leather and latex materials. Inculcating a better attitude towards improving world climate. Sustainability is a good place to begin with. Help others to do the same. Although not a popular point of conversation in general, the continuous and intensified occurrence of heatwave and its inimical effects on human lives is alarming. The increase in number of lives lost to the phenomenon deserves a positive response from all Earth citizens to show improved attitude and results character towards combating our common monstrous threat, global warming.